Good afternoon, I'm Milton Walker with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching onespotmedia.com. The Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC, says it will have to hold a series of meetings internally and with other critical agencies of government before it can respond to a proposal from vendors who are soon to be displaced from the Constant Spring market. Vendors have been stepping up pressure on the corporation not to demolish the market, to make way for the road widening project. The details in this report.
It's a countdown. September 30 is the eviction date for vendors who have been selling at the Constant Spring Market for years. The building, which houses the market, is to be demolished to facilitate the expansion of Constant Spring Road. But the vendors have written to the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC, proposing that a new facility be built behind the current market. Chief Executive Officer at the KSAMC, Robert Hill, says the proposal will be examined.
We have in fact received a letter from Bert Samuels and Associates. The letter outlined a request to meet and focus on a possibility of utilizing other spaces at the market, particularly that to the rear of the current structure. We will therefore have to meet internally with our lawyers and our engineers, as well as NWA and the National Land Agency. On the matter, I can't say much more in it, but we can confirm that we have received a letter in that regard.
In the meantime, Mr. Hill says the eviction date still stands. Attorney representing the vendors, Bert Samuels, has however expressed some concerns with the statement from the KSAMC.
We don't think we're dealing with an authority which would cause 50 vendors and their families and the community to be without a market when a halfway house can be developed.
As to the next step,
well, if they're going ahead with demolition at the end of September, when we sit to talk shortly, then it is then that the alternate position and the next move will be determined. We have the raw meat, so we're going to look the fire, and I think that we will invite. Certainly early next week is the latest that I could stay out of a meeting. The vendors are getting anxious and restive, and they need an answer.
Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Concerns are once again being raised about the level of professionalism by members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, in the execution of their duties. The latest incident involves a taxi operator and a police officer in Port Antonio on Friday night. The taxi operator was allegedly physically assaulted by a police officer. Is calling for greater accountability for members of the force who disregard the rights of citizens. More in this report.
It's not the first time that the level of professionalism exhibited by members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force has been brought into question. 2 policemen are now under investigation arising from that incident in which one of them appears to slam a female motorcyclist to the ground before placing her in handcuffs. The Inspectorate of the Constabulary IOC is probing that incident, which happened along Mandela Highway in St. Catherine last month. On Friday, 22-year-old Javan Lewis, a taxi operator who plies the Port Antonio to Hope Bay route in Portland, was allegedly beaten by a police officer. Mr. Lewis says the incident unfolded when he went to the police station to collect his motor vehicle documents, which were taken from him by a district constable. Upon reaching the police station, he was instructed by the policeman in plain clothes to wind up his car windows. Mr. Lewis says the policeman got physical when he attempted to turn on the car ignition.
When I put the key in the ignition to wind up the window, to get the ignition light on to wind up the window, he hold on to my hand, start popping up the key, draw for his pepper spray, start pepper spray me, draw me out of the car, multiple thumps in my face while going up the step.
But he says it did not stop there.
He said that he was going to take me to wash out the pepper spray out of my eye. While going down to the passage to the bathroom, his statement was he was going to carry me down there to beat me. And my reaction was to shout, to tell the guards that was on guard duty that it's a personal feelings in my car and he's not working. You understand? As I said that, he took me in my mouth, tripped my teeth.
Mr. Lewis says he is in constant pain as a result of the incident. He wants the matter to be investigated. He was charged with dangerous driving and assault occasioning bodily harm. Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
And the Portland police are investigating that report involving the taxi operator and one of their colleagues. When TVJ News contacted the head of the police department in Portland, Superintendent Dwayne Wellington, he confirmed that the incident is being investigated but would not comment any further on the matter. At least one person has been hospitalized with gunshot wounds following the latest spike in hostilities in the eastern St. Andrew communities of Jarrett Lane, Saunders Avenue and parts of Norman Gardens. The areas have been experiencing gunfire since Friday as gangsters continue to fight for turf. This armored unit was hit as it patrolled the communities. The police leadership in the division said the projectiles struck the unit as gangsters shot at each other.
I want to thank the police for their efforts. I mean, I think the citizens, even sometimes, though they get a bit frustrated with the police because they believe from time to time that the buffer is not enough. Because, for example, when a buffer is at the top of Spanish Town, if there is none towards, I think it's Harbour Road, then where the park is, then citizens believe that that won't make a lot of sense since there are other ways, throughways for attacks to take place. The police are making the very best use of the resources they have, limited albeit.
Have taken steps to protect their lives and property, with some roads leading into Norman Gardens and surrounding areas being barricaded with debris. Residents say this is necessary to halt the movement of gangsters who might contemplate drive-by shootings. Most residents only left the confines of their homes because our news team visited the area on Monday. They say they feel like prisoners in their homes and communities, as any trip outside could be their last.
Policemen and soldiers, yes, I think that the war can, even if it don't stop completely, it will bring to a sense of, safety for our residents here. And no one wants to actually leave their home. And I think that's where it's going to lead in the future if this doesn't stop. But for now, no one is leaving.
Opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips has echoed his call for the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, to present a crime plan to the country. Dr. Phillips suggested that only places on the states of emergency are seeing relative success in the crime fight. He said the recent case of a young girl being murdered in Arnett Gardens is a bitter reminder that criminals are unchecked in other parts of the island. He made a comment while addressing PNP supporters in Harbourview Sunday evening.
And to date, we cannot get from the government any clear statement of what their plan is to deliver safe communities and a sense of security to the people of the country. We're not asking for a plan because we want a secret about police operations, as the Prime Minister says sometimes. That is foolishness. But people want to know, is there something that they can do in their communities? Is there a plan to extend neighborhood watches?
Dr. Phillips also blasted the Prime Minister for what he deemed as broken election promises concerning the roles and standards for ministers.
They promise good government, terms of reference for ministers and codes of conduct. Not like that now happen. Instead, what we have is without doubt the most corrupt administration that Jamaica has ever witnessed in the entire period of our independence.
Calabar High School is receiving support from another major education stakeholder group for its decision to ask poor-performing students to leave the institution. The latest group to publicly agree with Calabar's stance is the Jamaica Teachers Association. Speaking during TVJ's primetime news last evening, JTA President Dr. Garth Anderson insisted standards must be maintained, especially for boys.
We fully support what they're doing at Calabar, the administration at Calabar, because the time is here and it's nothing new that we need to set very high standards for our students and have them work towards those standards and not the other way around. What I'll add to that, another layer would add to that, is that the administration, parents, and the guidance counselor should work with those students who have not reached that standard to redirect them so in other areas and other places so that they can optimize their potential.
Dr. Anderson was quickly taken to task by Education Minister Senator Royal Reid.
I hope you're not suggesting the expulsion of students under such a policy, because I dare say that the law is the law and the regulations are the regulations. As minister, I'm not going to tolerate no school breaching the law in this regard. So we are going to have a structured policy, and when the ministry sets policy guidelines, they become policy, and the president of the JTA and all teachers are required to comply.
Dr. Anderson insisted where a new direction is agreed on by parents and school administrators, that decision must be supported. Calabar had advised parents of fourth form students who failed to achieve a 60% average they had to enroll them in remedial classes at a cost or withdraw their children from the school. Meanwhile, the Jamaica Teachers Association has responded to the Education Minister's statement that there will be no delay in the start date for the primary exit profile PEP examination. PEP replaces the Grade 6 Achievement Test. The Education Minister's response follows a call from the JTA requested for more time for teachers to prepare for PEP. Speaking on TVJ Smile Jamaica this morning, JTA President Dr. Garth Anderson said the stance taken by the minister should not have been a hard and fast one.
My view is that if the teachers who are the implementers of the curriculum, because the curriculum you have to teach and you assess, are saying that we need some more time to fully understand this thing, because based on what we have seen, clearly our grade 6 students would not have been properly guided and have the kind of practice necessary.
He says the issue that teachers face is not with the PEP curriculum.
There's certainly some disconnect between what we got and what was expected, and that's it. That's an issue. So in my view, regardless of what is the issue, if we are saying we need some more time, then we think that that should be respected, because so it's not about content, it's not about teachers not wanting to change. That's certainly not part of it.
PEP, which students will sit for the first time in the upcoming 2016-2019 academic year, is intended to provide a more complete profile of their academic and critical thinking capabilities at the end of primary level education. Despite addressing some of the issues of the Montego Bay Metro company yesterday, employees are still upset. The workers are said to be upset about the slow response of the management to the bus company to several grouses. These include defective vehicles, lack of new uniforms, health insurance and salary parity with their colleagues at the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, the JUTC. Negotiating officer for the National Workers Union, NW, Alexander Nicholson, has downplayed suggestions that the protest action is political. Residents of 6 communities in St. Elizabeth will soon have their water woes eliminated. This as the communities are set to benefit from the long-awaited Essex Valley water supply system. That's the word from Member of Parliament for St. Elizabeth South East, Franklin Witter. Mr. Witter said phase 1 of the scheme, which will be put in operation by the end of October, will result in residents of Marsville, Nain, Stephen Run, Gazeland, Cheapside, Junction and Lucky Valley receiving piped water. The Member of Parliament stated that the work on the booster pump at Nain is almost complete, an indication that phase 1 of the water scheme is nearing completion. He added that on the phase 2, other communities such as New Building, Brinkley, Warminster, Littitz and Content will benefit once the secondary service means are in place. And in sports, Melbourne and Kensington will have to vie for the national over 50 over supremacy when they contest the final of the JCA 50 over competition Saturday at Chedwin Park after semi-final wins at the weekend.
Melbourne had an easy 8-wicket win over Lucas at Nelson Oval thanks to some good bowling from young Matthew Comrie and solid batting from Abhijayman Singh. Having taken first strike, Lucas were dismissed for just 141 of 41 overs, with Comrie taking 3 for 17 and Tariq White bagging 2 for 14. Ricardo Magiche with 44 and Raymond Hall 32 were the leading batsmen for Lucas. Melbourne then made light work of their chase as Abijay Mansingh top-scored with 58 and shared in an 86-run partnership with captain Paul Palmer Jr., who made 46. Mansingh then saw Jamaica to victory along with Asad Fuddedin, who ended unbeaten on 14. Melbourne captain Paul Palmer Jr. was once again impressed with the youngsters on his team.
Yes, we are very satisfied because you can see young guys sticking their hand up. You have young Virgo and Comrie, just to name a few. I think those guys really bowl us here, bowl us to the semi-final, and come to the final now. We got to try and encourage them and get them to do the correct things as consistently as possible.
Home team Kensington eked out a 3-wicket win at Kensington Park, defeating Kingston Cricket Club in the other semi-final. Kingston were dismissed for 170, with Kirk Harris top scoring with 70 and Lionel Morant making 16 against Daniel Griffiths 3 for 37 and Delbert Gale 2 for 24. Kensington were on the back foot in their chase at 38 for 4 at one stage and slumped further to 98 for 6, but a 68-run partnership for the 7th wicket between Warren Campbell, who made 38 not out, and David Bernard Jr., who made 31 not out, helped them climb out of the slump. Paul Harrison with 3 for 29 and Patrick Harty 2 for 25 got most wickets for Kingston. With the win, Kensington retained their unbeaten run entering Saturday's final.
We've been to about 3 or 4 semi-finals in the last 5 years, so it's a great feeling. The last I went to a final, we actually won it at the senior level, and we are the reigning Junior Cup champions, so it's a great feeling that we are transitioning well.
Jordan Fort, TVJ Sports.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Milton Walker. Join us at 7 for primetime news. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.